today I'm just sharpening chains for work. Oh wow, got a bunch of people watching right now, I guess. If anyone's interested in what I'm doing, feel free to comment. People on. Just a bunch of dull chains that I'm sharpening. I don't have any saws to work on today, unfortunately. Well, yes, fortunately and unfortunately. Means nothing broke. Normally on this channel, I'll either have chainsaws that I'm working on, or sharpening chains, or depends if I don't have anything to do. Sometimes I just show off some guns. I collect World War II memorabilia, so got quite a bit. Yeah, totally making cheesecake. No. I don't even honestly know how to make cheesecake. Certainly like cheesecake though. I just recently learned there's actually cheesecake in cheesecake. Or cheese in cheesecake. Happy Wednesday. Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday. It's hump day. Thankfully the week's halfway over. Your grandma's house sounds like a grinder and an ultrasonic cleaner when she's making cheesecake. I don't know, man. I don't think your grandma's making cheesecake. She's doing something else. And if for some reason her mixer sounds like a grinder, maybe get her a new one for Christmas, because that shit ain't right. Alright, let's see what I did with all my oil. I had a thin WD-40 and I don't know what I did with it. I'll hang them and then oil them later. All the chains go through ultrasonic cleaner that I have to get nearly boiling hot water to clean all the lignin and build-on residue from running the chains. chainsaws get hot with friction, kind of need something to break it down. That and all the oil that's built up on the chains. And we get them nice and clean, and then I sharpen them. Helps reduce a lot of the wear on the cutting wheel as well when you clean them first. Yeah, I don't know, man. Grandma might actually be looking at Jeffrey Dahmer and she's cutting up somebody in your kitchen. Does your family dinners taste a little weird? They taste like pork. She's cutting up people. Yeah. I gotta make sure I actually set this on the right thing because I get distracted. Yeah. Doesn't let you in the kitchen. Grandpa's, oh, about 3 years ago, did you have Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner and she served pork to you? Because that might have been Grandpa. He's not missing. He's with you forever. He's part of you. At least your grandma practices safety first and doesn't want to lose her eyesight with a little bone chip. Thanks at least for giving me some entertainment. Because a lot of people really don't say anything in the chat. They just kind of creep around and don't say anything. In fact, one of the first streams I ever did on here, the only thing anyone wanted to talk about was poop. This is my like 6th stream ever. Haven't really done much with this, but if I'm going to be out in the garage doing something anyway, might as well share it. Definitely getting a lot more people watching now than I was, for sure. I mean, consistently between 20 and 40 people. I'm at 33 right now, which is pretty dang good. If anyone's curious about any chainsaw stuff, feel free to ask. This guy's grandma apparently knows plenty about chainsaws. She just cuts people up with them. Tell your grandma to use a bandsaw. That's normal for cutting meat. So I'm using a diamond cutting wheel. It actually reduces a lot of the heat transfer into the cutting heads. So I don't want to introduce too much heat as I'm sharpening. You end up losing the temper and then your changes get duller faster. Or if you harden them too much, they might chip and break. So, diamond cutting head, and still reducing the amount of time that you're in contact with the cutting head so that you don't get too much of that heat transfer. You can let it sink a little bit in. I know a lot of people think hand filing is the best way, but when you're doing 30 or 40 chains at a time, that's just not at all feasible. You'll be sitting here for the next forever trying to sharpen chains. So is anyone from the Chicago area? Heard you guys were supposed to get like a foot of snow today. Of course, don't really watch the news too much, so I don't know what you actually got. Alright. Switching to the other sides, cutting heads. Try and keep these at 30 degrees for the angle of the cutting heads. Just 25 is not quite enough, even though that's what's recommended. It's not quite aggressive enough to cut fast enough. Of course, having a harsher angle on it, it gets duller slightly faster. Really not that much faster that it's going to make any difference in a production sense. But it certainly makes a difference when you're the one using the saw. Plus it reduces the amount of complaints I get. Now I get through all of my chains that I'm going to sharpen, and then I actually go through every depth gauge then after I'm done with the chain. And I'll make sure that depths are good. That way we're not grabbing too much wood. Too much for the saw and bogging down, or not enough where you're cutting powder. Still got 20 people watching. People watching and no one's saying anything. Alright. Alright, this one's not far off from being done. I got a couple more heads. out there an arborist or anything works with saws, or just cut your own firewood, or just interested in people working in the garage. Anything? Anyone? Bueller? Guess I'll just yap a little bit about chains. So I watched quite a few videos related to sharpness of chain over time and what chains are the best, and overall Stihl is the best chain manufacturer for the longevity of the sharpness of the chains. Oregon was a close second. Well, some other places like Carlton and Forester and some other ones that are just pretty garbage. Husqvarna's chains are apparently not very good at keeping an edge. There's a couple ones out there that are also really bad. Even some of the carbide chains are supposed to be overall better, lasting longer, and great for cutting stumps, and they're really not that good. So the company I work for, we actually use mostly Oregon chains now. We used to use Stihl, but kind of getting away from Stihl just because of the cost. Stihl chain itself is about twice the amount per spool as Oregon is. So for a negligible difference in how long the chain stays sharp, might as well save 50%. Save money and get more chains. Once in a blue moon like this chain I get, and somebody actually turns it in when they're supposed to get sharpened. And yeah, I like this because, one, I don't have to take as much material off of the chain. And two, it saves my cutting head from getting duller faster. Some of these guys will run them into rocks or right into the dirt, and I'll get a chain back where I have to take half of the cutting head off, and I really don't like that because it gunks up these cutting heads on my grinder, and also the chains are ruined really quickly that way. Last nearly as long. In the last batch of chains I got one that was, I don't know, it looked like it hit either something metal or whatnot, and I heard the guy ran it into asphalt on a road. Freaking 5 of the teeth were ripped clean off of the chain. One of them was just looked like a fork instead of a cutting head. So these chains definitely get abused far more than some of these guys do. They have their YouTube channel and they're like cutting firewood and stuff like that. Their saws don't get nearly as used as what we do. Cutting trees in residential neighborhoods is rough. Used to be a thing for a while. They would fill voids in trees with cement and all kinds of other stuff, or use angle iron as through bolts, and you'll run into that with a saw, and it messes up the chains pretty bad. second. I'm going to check this in here, see how much time is left. Loud. Ooh. Very hot. Damn. I don't know where my pliers are. If anyone's interested in chainsaw stuff or any kind of tree stuff or woodworking, I do some carpentry stuff. I haven't in a while now. You can always subscribe to the channel. I'm typically on live at least once or twice a week. Or I'm going to start doing some long form videos here in the near future. Kind of debating whether I'm going to keep this channel totally dedicated to this, or I also collect military history stuff. I have a large World War II collection. Kind of debating doing a little bit of history stuff, but I don't know. Probably wouldn't be the best because people lose their attention, whether it's you know, if you're doing stuff in the garage and then suddenly doing gun related things or military history related things, you might lose a lot of viewers. I got volume on the computer. Alright, dumping some of this gunky, oily water out of the cleaner because it's not going to clean quite as well. And then I'll be right back to sharpening here in a second. This is pretty nasty black water. It's pretty gross. I still got. This is the ultrasonic cleaner. The chains go in the basket and get cleaned through there, and then I dump it out into a pretzel jar before I actually dispose of the oiled, gross water. But I gotta get fresh water in here and some more Dawn dish soap. After experimenting with a bunch of different ways of cleaning chains, I found Dawn and nearly boiling hot water is the safest and the best way to do it. Safest as in, some people recommend doing some shit that's really not good. I'm on different Facebook groups and on Reddit for chainsaw sharpening things, and some guys recommend using like wire wheels and stuff to sharpen for cleaning the chains off, and that's extremely dangerous. You should never do that. I've heard that multiple times by people is suggesting using a wire wheel to clean off all the burn-on, caked-on ligament from cutting that's all over the cutting heads. Don't ever do that. Fast rotating things against loose objects is a recipe for disaster, and you'll end up regretting that one day if you actually do it. And of course, you tell somebody on Reddit that, they lose their mind. Or any of the older guys that are into chain sharpening, I tell you they've done it for 25 years that way and never ended up in the hospital. It only takes once before something actually goes wrong. Just because you've done something for 30 years doesn't mean you're doing it right. Trying to go to anything in life. There's plenty of guys out there that'll tell you that the way they're doing it's the way they've done it for forever, and it might not be right. No matter where you are in life or what you're doing, kind of get advice from multiple people and kind of formulate what's the best of all the worlds. Sometimes that guy that you think has great advice is actually giving you really bad advice. Alright. Oh, I'm half an hour into the stream and still got 20 people watching. Kind of surprising because normally right about now I'll have 3 or 4 people watching. Jam that down a little bit too hard. Unfortunately, well, unfortunately and fortunately for you guys, depends on how you see it. This is like NASCAR to you. I've made all my real serious mistakes in the garage before I ever started streaming. This was, what, just over a year ago. You could watch me nearly cut a couple of my fingers off. I ended up having arterial blood spray over the walls of my garage. That was a really bad time. Some people, that's why they watch streams, I guess. Waiting for an accident or something. The only reason most people watch NASCAR is waiting for the accidents. Really running through these chains tonight. Just to see. They put that chain together. It actually has 2 cutting teeth on the same side right next to each other. I missed that. And back to the first 2. Already done with this one. Grab another one here. If anyone out there is interested in sharpening your own chainsaw chains, hand filing is fine if you're only doing 1 or 2. There's plenty of like bar mounted guides. I would recommend doing that if you hand file. That way you get a proper angle with every stroke. Unless you really truly trust that your eyes are perfect, which they're not. You're gonna get a weird angle. But if you're just cutting firewood once a year or cutting a down limb out of your yard, that's fine. But if you're sharpening a large amount of chains on a regular basis, whether you're doing it semi-professionally or you work for a company, I would really recommend getting a grinder. Not one of those little Dremel things that they sell on Amazon. Those don't work. You'll end up cutting too much material off. Oregon makes some great grinders, even some of the lower end models. Versus this is the 620-120. It's their more expensive one. It has a hydraulic clamp in here, so there's hydraulic fluid and pressure. So every time I go down, it actually clamps down on the chain to hold it in place. So Oregon makes some pretty good grinders. There's other ones that are automatic that some companies make, but they're in the thousands of dollars to get. And unless you're running an actual saw shop where you're getting a lot of change every day, I would never recommend buying something like that. You have to be able to go through that and justify spending $2,500 on a grinder. You'd have to be sharpening 100 plus chains a month to get over the amount of labor just paying somebody to sharpen would be worth. Most saw shops are not. They're not doing 100 chains a month. I'm pretty lucky with. I'll get, depending on the month. Summertime, I'll be doing 40 to 50 chains a month. In the wintertime, it'll be 20 to 30 chains a month. Everything slows down in the winter. You know, if you're watching and you're one of those people that want your trees pruned and so on, wintertime's the best time to do it. Even having a tree removed, doing it in wintertime is a little bit better if you're doing it cost effective wise. Like, you're likely to get a discount or a lower price from a tree company if you do it in the wintertime, as they're going to be hurting for work. But pruning, in most cases, is best done when a tree is in its dormant phase throughout the winter and the deep winter, especially fruit trees. Pruning a fruit tree out of season can actually kill it or result in the loss of all the fruit. Fruit tree pruning should be done in January and February in the late winter when it's cold but not likely to get another very deep frost depending on where you are. But even mature tree pruning is best done in a dormant season. That's right. This chain is about close to the end of its life cycle. I got maybe one sharpening left on here. So all chains come with a little line on it that you should never sharpen past. I know a lot of people that do, they'll sharpen until the chain is completely unusable. But you should never go past that line, as you run the risk of not having enough material to keep that cutting head together, and it can break that cutting head off and turn it into a projectile. I read a couple of OSHA accident reports, and there's one, I want to say from the earlier 2000s, where somebody actually got killed with a cutting head that broke off and hit him in the head. So never really want to sharpen that much. I mean, a chain, depending on the size of the chain, I guess 72 drive length chain is only just over $20. It's much easier to just buy a new one than try and get that last sharpening out of it. Totally not worth it. Could lead to an accident. If anyone out there wants to do me a favor and actually subscribe to the channel, it would help. You don't have to turn on post notifications unless you actually want to see this stuff, but it does help. Trying to get up to at least 500 subscribers. That way I can remonetize my account. Definitely would be nice to be able to do that again. Alright. Another one done. This one, somebody took the depth gauges down a little bit too far. That was not me. They're all different sizes too. So it's not bungled up. I'll wait for this cutting to stop. This again. See where I'm at. It's good. It's always great when you set it on one cutting tooth and you go around the chain and you find a spot where it hit a rock or something and you gotta go back through the whole chain again. You'll get half the chain is good and half the chain is not. We'll try and keep the cutting head even all the way around the chain. I guess one or two teeth don't matter, but I always try and keep them even. That way it doesn't pull in any weird directions. Well, if somebody's running the saw, you don't have to worry about that. So we got 30 people in here. These people apparently like me today. Shane Chunky and his fucking cannibalistic grandma left. He's the only one that was actually chatting with me. Maybe tomorrow. So I don't really know. I don't have anything. I'm going to be out of change to sharpen tomorrow. If anybody's interested, I might end up tearing apart a 462. It's a MS462 TCM that's having an issue. Where it decides to throttle up on its own. We've also got a 201 that's doing the same thing where it'll intermittently go full throttle without actually pulling the throttle. And it just kind of does its own thing. And I think I know what's wrong with both of them, but I have to tear them all the way apart. Actually see if I'm right. So if you want to see that tomorrow, see if I'm right, or see if I don't fuck up a $1,200 solo, you can subscribe and watch me again tomorrow. Tearing apart some chainsaws. See, what time is it now? 8:30. I might even... That depends on what time I'm done with these chains. I might even get some of that tonight. I don't know yet. I do not know where the night will take me. Down this side. So, I appreciate that you guys are actually sticking around and watching. It's kind of nice. I recently was reading a Reddit thread on a guy that started streaming right around the same time I did. And he can't understand why he's never had more than 5 views or even 5 concurrent viewers at the same time, and I've been consistently, in the last 2 streams anyway, between 20 and 40 concurrent viewers at the same time, and he can't get over 5, and he's doesn't understand it. He's never had more than 100 views on a video, and well, his whole thing with streaming that he wants to do is he's a furry and streams weird games that nobody's ever heard of. So, man, that might be why. It's a good possibility that people don't want to see a furry playing games that nobody has ever heard of. It's all YouTube algorithm stuff that does not make any sense to me. I'm just a dude doing dude stuff. Cleaner should be done with the next batch of chains that I'm going to sharpen too pretty soon. That's all the 50 drive length chains for our 201s. 50 drive lengths go on a 14-inch bar. They should be done here in a second. And I'll get those all sharpened up, but that's actually a different cutting wheel, so I always save those for last. And that is the last two. Here we go. They're all 91s. We had 272s, 291s, and a 114. This is another 72. Love it. Trying to make sure the chains twisted mess. There's another one someone actually turned in when it should. Definitely hit something with it. Better than getting it back where I've already gotten these back where you can see there's still an angle to it, and I've gotten them back where they're just completely flat. The guys just running and running and running. Hey man, burning the wood and cutting powder. It needs sharper. Change out the chain. Got one more sitting on the trash can there. Definitely be down to the 50s here pretty soon. Should be a good angle right there. Still be good. Let's check it. Yep. Still cutting head. Cool. Up to 30 viewers. Thanks. What's up, everybody? I'm just sharpening chains. Got 7 minutes on this timer. I'm going to pull them out and check real quick. They're looking good. Couple minutes left. So where somebody used this and hit something, it's got a weird wear angle, so when you pick it back just a little bit more than I normally would. That way I can get rid of that wear line and hopefully get a little bit better of an edge on it. If there's anybody out there that's into forging, might be a long shot, but I've got plenty of dead chainsaw chains that are beyond their useful life. But if anyone's interested in making chain Damascus, hit me up. I'll send you as many chains as you want. Make chain Damascus knives. I think that's going to be a thing at some point that I do. And I've got a forge, I just don't have the time to dedicate to it. Check to make sure. No. Nobody's saying anything except that chunky guy. Anybody that's watching is that guy that wears the toilet seat on his head out streaming tonight. Seems to stream every single night. He just rambles on. Watch streams, it's always the same people over and over again. Every day, and they're always doing the same thing. Ran into a knuckle that are special. Sure. Oh, there was a streamer that I happened across to watch for a second. He does Uber Eats deliveries or something, started saying some weird pedophile shit. "42 people. Yeah, YouTube does like me tonight." Hey, if anyone out there actually wants to see tearing down some chainsaws, I'll be most likely tearing apart an MS-462 tomorrow. I'll be taking it down all the way down to the piston on screen, just to see if I can confirm what I think is wrong with it. That's going to be a several hour long project, so I'll just stream it and sit there, and you get to watch me curse and regret my decision to tear it apart. Unless some diagnostician is out there watching right now that can tell me what you think the problem might be. Currently the issue is it won't do it while it's running. And initially, you start the saw fine, runs perfectly fine, until the saw actually gets hot, and then it'll start just throttling, full throttle on its own, and it'll go full throttle until you shut it off. Sometimes it's intermittent, where it'll just go full throttle while you're setting it on the ground. And I think I know what the issue is. But the only way I can confirm whether that's it or not is by tearing that whole thing apart. I gotta check all the fuel lines, everything running from the carb. It's a TCM, and I don't have the still computer thing to check out if there's any issues with it. It's been to an actual saw shop. They did check it out, and they said it was something with the piston, which doesn't make any sense. Of course, they gave some ridiculous quote to fix it, and more or less said to not even bother. It's kind of surprising. Replacing a piston in the saw is not hard. It takes about 2 hours to tear that down and take off the head and replace the piston. It's not any kind of craziness. I guess saw shops charge between $80 and $120 an hour, so I can get a little nutty with pricing for simple jobs. Alright, this chain is actually, I'm going to sharpen and see where we're at, but I think this chain is done and should not be put back in service. This one will probably end up just staying for me because it'll be sharp and ready to go, but should not be used in a commercial setting. It'll be past that line that I was just talking about a little bit ago. Yeah, I'm right on the line with that cutting head. Hey, my 50 drive length chains are done. That's what that beep was. It sounded like a microwave. Yeah, I'm right on the line. I think I might actually just go with this. This might be fine. It'll go out one last time, and when it comes back, it will go in the done pile. Now, if anyone were to ask how many sharpenings you get out of a chain, I don't think I can give an honest answer. I don't legitimately know how many times I can sharpen a chain before it's totally done. It also depends on the damage to the chain. If it's normal wear and tear, you might really drag out the lifespan of that chain, but in a professional setting, these things don't last long. Where I'm at, we'll cycle through probably 50 chains in a year that are just sharpened until they're not usable anymore. But we're doing a lot of work compared to some groups. Like a homeowner that's just sharpening their chain and they're just getting firewood for their home, that chain might last. Depends, like my dad, he had the same chain on his Husqvarna 61 for probably 15 years. He ran the same chain on it. Same chain, just kept sharpening it. He's also very, very careful to never run it in the dirt, never hit a stone with it. Whereas working for a tree company, you get a lot of people that don't care because they're not their saws. And they know the chains will just get sharpened anyway. So I got 18 people watching.
Yeah.
Nice. Started this stream about an hour ago and still got people watching. That's good. Hey, if anyone out there wants to subscribe, it would help. Certainly don't have to. Can't twist your arm, but it would help out. This chain is definitely on its last life before it gets turned into a pocket knife. It's a 91 dry length chain that goes on a 28-inch bar. This is actually the chain size that gets used the most for us is the 28-inch bars. And we've got all the way up to 42-inch bars. Of course, I think there might be only one or two of us at work that can actually hold an 880 and make proper cuts with an 880, because 880s are big saws. I've got one on the table right next to the camera. I don't even actually know the weight of an 880. Hands are getting dirty.
curious. Check something out on my computer. Oh. All right. If anyone's curious, the size of an 880, it's the largest production chainsaw that still has ever made. And it's big. I mean, pretty massive saw. And it's certainly heavy. Especially when you put a 42-inch bar on it and you're trying to make cuts. Especially in the middle of summer when it's 104 degrees and you're trying to cut with that. It's not fun. I guess 660, which is fairly normal for some people to run, is this. And it's, you can't even see it in the video. Yeah, it's much bigger than the 660, and a 660 is a freaking big saw. I got the 462 here, but that's not much smaller than the 66. Oh. Yeah, holding this left-handed kind of sucks. Right now that 880 is not running. And I've got to tear it apart and get it running again. That'll happen some point. Not tonight, that's for sure. It's a project. It needs a whole new piston and upper half of the engine before I can really try to get that running again. And I don't have the time to kind of dedicate to it. I just got that 660 running again finally. Yesterday? Day before yesterday. I think it was actually on stream. I put it back together after I had just taken it apart, cleaned it, and got it running again finally. So that can get brought back in at any point in time. I just gotta actually take it in. Alright. Yeah, I was just checking to see, and I didn't actually gain a single subscriber today. Just kind of a shame. I'm 49 away from the goal. I need 49 more subscribers. That would be really ideal. But oh well. Alright. Dig out some of these 50 drive link chains. Oh, that's hot. Anybody out there have any questions related to chainsaws or what I'm doing? If not, that's cool. I mean, still in the last hour, the only person to talk was the guy that was really happy about hump day and the guy that thinks his grandma running a grinder or a meat saw is making cheesecake. It's kind of concerning. All right. I'm going to take 5 minutes and I've got to get a tray ready with some oil in it. Because I've got to oil each of these chains as they go through the ultrasonic cleaner. They need to get oil on them because they're it's in 80 degrees Celsius water, which is just shy of 200 degrees, and Dawn dish soap to try and break down those oils. This is a reason, if you ever see somebody that leaves a fucking chain in a pile of water, it ruins it. You've got rust in between the links, and this thing has been soaking in rust remover for about a month, and now soaking in WD-40, and it's still not working right. I need a paper towel, and I don't know what I did with them. We got little shop towels that I don't really want to use. Used to have a roll of paper towels out here. Probably used them all and just don't remember it. Give me like 2 minutes and I will be right back. Gotta clean up a mess and step outside of the garage for a second. First I'm gonna get a chain on here. I gotta change out this cutting head. Kind of curious how many people actually watched my stream tonight. So I had 1,700 and something watch last night. Or not last night, 2 nights ago. Alright. This wheel is getting pretty worn out. So these diamond cutting heads, they say they're good for, I think it was like 1,000 chains or something that they're good for, and it's not holding true at all. This is my 3rd wheel this year, and they're only good for probably 300 chains, not 1,000, not even close to 1,000. Definitely not as good as they say but better than these are, I believe, aluminum oxide cutting wheels that Oregon produces, and these don't last. I mean, this one is almost done. I've got a couple more that are almost at just the tape or the label where they're completely ruined. And you have to keep redressing these. About every other chain, you got to redress it with a stone, and you end up wasting a lot of time trying to deal with those things. So, alright, I'm gonna step outside of the garage for a second. Then I'll be back. I'm gonna step out for 2 minutes. about this hot water. Oh, didn't want to unplug that. That's the lights. Hot, soapy, oily, gross water. There's still 5 people here. All right. Oh man. So I set up a laptop next to where I'm grinding, and it's covered, in, just absolutely covered in fine dust of metal. Man, I've had 3,000 views today, jeez. It's kind of cool. Average view duration, 16 seconds. Dropped off in viewers in the last, well, everyone's going to bed. 3,080 views. That's kind of cool. If any of the 5 people out there are interested in how to stream, you can always feel free to ask. I don't have a clue what I'm doing, but I can give you my random opinion that doesn't matter. Alright, let's see where I'm at. And that's a good cut, and I'll continue around the chain. Is anybody out there interested in chainsaw stuff? I don't know if any of you people are the same ones that were watching when I discussed it earlier. I'll be working on a 462 tomorrow. This type of steel chainsaw. If you are, just subscribe to the channel. That would help me, and you'd actually get to see me tear apart a saw and get frustrated. Zero back to 30, and I'll get the other direction. Down to 4 viewers. Alright. Tomorrow what I'll end up doing is getting all the depth gauges on these. while I'm tearing apart a saw. Maybe I'll actually start streaming as soon as I get home. Have like a 4-hour long stream. The first time ever. Alright, see where I'm at. Gotta get this set. There we go. That's good. That's it for that side. I almost forgot. I've got a couple other chains I gotta do. A 12-inch Oregon chain here. I've got a little 1/4-inch drive one I gotta do too that I've forgotten about. Alright. Make sure this is set. Back to it. Smaller chains go so much faster. That's it. That is it. Only got 2 more 50s. And I gotta knock out these 2 smaller chains. They'll go fast. Set. I'm gonna skip any of these teeth. That way, back to 30. Welcome to whoever's watching. sharpening some chains. They're all chainsaw chain. If you got any questions about what I'm doing or any comments, feel free to put them in the chat. I do watch the chat pretty regularly, so I can reply to anything that gets said. Right, one more 50. Two viewers. Man, I'm really dropping. Fuck that cutting head up. Taking this one back a lot. Somebody definitely hit something with this. Almost looks like they had the chain on backwards in here a lot. Alright, back to the start. Get the other side. Alright. Back to the start. Double check. Yep. Alright, the 50s are done. Yep. This forward a little. really appreciate everyone that has stopped by the stream tonight. Got quite a few people on. And if you are interested in chainsaw stuff, feel free to subscribe. I'll be doing a teardown of a 462 tomorrow, as well as other times I'm doing other work. I work on backpack blowers, chainsaws, hedge trimmers, kind of a little bit of everything. So if you want to see that kind of stuff, feel free to subscribe and you'll see it. Every subscriber does actually help. Kind of curious who's on streaming tonight. Everyone's been so quiet. Anyone out there that's actually listening, alright, that's sharp. Now let's get this little guy out. Little teeny 1/4-inch drive. No lignin burn on this, I can just wipe it off and it's good. This thing is one of the smallest chains that I have to sharpen. It is teeny. A little 1/4-inch drive for a panther bar. 12-inch panther bar. So it's a teeny chain. Guy that runs it loves it. But holy crap, this thing is small. There we go. Not cutting into the drive links. This little 1/4-inch drive actually has more cutting teeth on it than some of the bigger chains. Smaller chain, more teeth, smaller diameter, lets it cut faster. He runs it on a Echo 2511T. Great climbing saw. tooth, bring it around, hit the other side. These teeth are so freaking small. That is it for this, finally. Smallest teeth. All right. It's 9:30. Getting a little late. It says I got 6 viewers. Welcome to whoever is actually watching. Thanks for watching as well. All right. Been on for an hour and 42 minutes. I'm gonna dip these in oil here quick, and probably going to be about the end of my night out here in the garage. That way I can go to bed and get up and go to work and do it all again tomorrow. I gotta dip every single one of these chains in oil because of how I clean them. They all get a hot soapy water bath, and if I don't get some oil on them, it wreak havoc on them. WD-40 works great because it evaporates off. It displaces the water so that it doesn't rust in between each link. Tomorrow I'll do the depth gauges on these. And bag them and return them. getting the oil. Each and every single chain gets fully submersed in this oil bath. I burned through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 chains tonight. That's not so bad. The most I've done in a night was 40 some, and that was a long day out here, and I was not super thrilled. So big chains, now I gotta get these little guys. Quarter-inch drive. Alright, and this 59-inch drive thing that's completely fucked gets to sit in the oil for another day. And nothing will happen to it because it's been sitting in that oil for a month and it still is messed up. If anyone's curious, this is actually not one of the bad days, but just off of those few 50 drive length chains, that's how much oil and dirt, well, that's just the dirt that came off of them, and that was like 6 chains. Sometimes when I have some of the larger chains and I'm going through like two or three dozen of them, I get a ton of material off of them that is just nasty burn on oil or burn on lignin from trees. Gunks everything up. Almost done here. That's a mess. This is even more of a mess. My last paper towel. Wipe this thing down. It is all metal, fine metal shavings from sharpening. And it creates this dust that gets all over everything. I like to at least knock it off on the floor so I can vacuum it up. The vacuum cannot get in on here. And I don't really want to hit it with a blower because it'll blow all that fine metal particles into the air, and I don't particularly think breathing that in is good for you. Alright, a mess all over the floor. I'll clean that up another day. Now, I like these diamond wheels a lot. Get it set at 90. But they don't actually make any diamond wheels for the depth gauges, so I'm stuck using the I think it's aluminum oxide cutting wheel for the depth gauges. I'm going to change that out so it's all ready to go come tomorrow. I can knock these out quick. Get the cutting wheel set aside. Might get this on here. I think the beginning of tomorrow's stream, I'm probably going to finish these depth gauges on all these chains, and then I'm going to start tearing apart that saw. That is not centered on here. Good. Let's see if I can find my dressing stone. There it is. Alright, it's nice and flat again. Every time I run this, you gotta redress the stone, otherwise it cuts in a groove. This 114 setup on here will be the first one that goes tomorrow. Biggest chain. I'll be ready to go first thing in the morning. Well, first day. to go down to. Shouldn't be too far off. Most of the time I keep up with these very well. Yeah, just like an eighth of an inch. Cool. All right. Well, I am going to end the stream for the night. Thanks for joining me.